Um, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The agenda is approved.
Which time is it? Do we start?
Let's say 4:35.
So Roxanne, just as a cleanup item, so we're supposed to have public comment on every item.
Every item.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so even approval of the agenda, if the public, you could ask the public if they have any comments. So
okay.
technically, the public could ask for something to be moved as well, and you could consider it. So usually, kind of an easy way to do it is to ask the commission first if they'd like to move anything. If they say no, then you ask the public if they would like to move anything. You don't have to move it, but you can then consider it and then bring it back for approval.
Okay. Does the public have any changes to the agenda? Okay, so we can move on to item 3. Is this a specific public input slot here? And then I'm just going to make an asterisk to remind people that there's additional public input at each item.
Yeah, so this is public input on items that are not agendas.
Does the public want to comment on any non-agendized items at this time? Moving on to item 4, we will be tabling this for the next meeting because the minutes were not distributed with the agenda.
You guys could review them, but not take action. So if you saw anything in there,
I have just skimmed them, and these are very detailed. I would like to take some more time to review them. And I do think we're looking for the prior month, if I'm not mistaken, but I would have to go back to my notes.
I think we may be missing June, maybe.
Yeah, and I can go back to my notes too and see.
Yeah, I didn't have to do it then.
Okay.
Yes, I think there was. Yeah. So item 5, the Blue Lake Grocery Mercantile Store development discussion. This is new and exciting.
I know.
Um. Okay.
So I wanted to bring this project forward to the commission. As you guys know, we've been working for years to try and attract a grocery mercantile store back out to Blue Lake. Traditionally, we had multiple stores in our community, and it's been a real gap for Blue Lake. Murphy's is great, but it's not always easily accessible for everyone. It still does require a bit of a drive, and having a local grocery is it's just a community need. It's a gap that needs to be filled. Our biggest problem has always just been the lack of space and the lack of buildings to facilitate the installation of a grocery store. And I don't think that it necessarily, maybe the business model isn't necessarily a full grocery, but maybe like a mercantile, where you kind of have, you have some grocery, you have some, your household odds and ends, you have, kind of your artisan, touristy type of items. Um, but definitely having the ability for our community to have access to fresh foods and different grocery items. So there is an opportunity coming up that the city is looking into, um, and I don't have all the specifics yet, but I can say that we will be having a conversation with a property owner who may have space for the development of a grocery mercantile type of store. And we do have an interested uh, community member who I think has the business background to pull off this type of development, who's been very interested in doing this type of development for quite a while. And I can't really give more specifics yet, but I did want to talk about it a little bit kind of in a general context with the commission and to get some feedback and to see, what are some ideas. I think the development of a grocery store is it's an investment. I mean, there will be costs associated with it. There will be probably improvement costs necessary for the building. There will be equipment purchase needs.
Those
There'll be
fixtures are expensive.
they are. There's inventory needs. Kelly, you have, really relevant experience running Fieldbrook Market. Um, and, Roxanne, I was thinking, about types of financing or community investment funding, or maybe even the idea of creating a co-op. So maybe it's a community funded type project for a portion of the investment. But I wanted to bring it to you guys and just kind of get some thoughts moving forward. We will be meeting with small business development in the upcoming weeks, and I've reached out to Ross Welch at AEDC to talk about maybe possibly CDFI money,
The ink people could also be a good source. It might fit under if
like
it's a
a
nonprofit,
Dreammaker.
it might fit under their Dreammaker
Okay,
umbrella.
that's a good idea.
But the SBDC won't work with a nonprofit.
Right.
So
And I don't know, I don't think I talked with the individual about a nonprofit, but I don't know if that's technically the direction that would be the best way to go. I think there could be an aspect of
it
the,
might end up being a B Corp or something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. So anyways, I wanted to, like I said, it's a little bit general right now, but it's a project that also could move fairly quickly.
Is it inspired at all by the new mercantile market that just opened in Eureka at the end
No,
of September?
no,
I haven't
I
been
think
over
it's just
just
inspired
just
by the need of the community.
and
The individual, has a lot of great ideas, has a established business, has a lot of background in business, and there's I think there's the idea of kind of a fresh produce, kind of you'd have kind of limited, availability of things. So I would see like maybe one cooler that's like your milk, cheese, coffee creamer, type
those are about
your
8 grand
eggs, and
for
then you have
those
a
3 chins.
small,
Minimum.
Yeah.
rotating produce, and which could be really nice to be tied back to some of our local produce like Powers Creek produce, and so you're kind of getting what's available at the time versus, having, a big delivery always coming in. And then backfilling also with consignment items. So I know, we have artisans in the community that have the need for space. And so you can do things on consignment as well and have some really nice things to offer. There's some ideas around, ice cream, things for the kids, people going to the river, maybe having a small deli offering where it's like, a deli a special sandwich or a couple sandwich offerings or something. But then also having those little things that you might need, like you might need just out of paper towels or toilet paper, or maybe it's a little selection of hardware, where you just need some extra screws or you ran out nails for a project. Or I mean, that's kind of how Lynn Strands used to be.
Mhm.
Jack always had a little bit of everything. You never did your whole shopping at Lynn Strands. You always went to E&O, or if you had to go to Eureka to go to town, then you did some like bigger stuff. But it was always Lynn Strands and E&O balanced each other out. And I think we definitely have that same need and structure here. Um, so yeah, so like I said, I wanted to bring it forward and see what your thoughts are. If you have any ideas on one, financing, to kind of organizational structure, Kelly, especially you with, because it's similar to what Fieldbrook Market, kind of, you guys went a little bit heavier on the food and stuff, which is great too, but
Right, but the market used to be just what you were describing, all the hardware and,
right.
it even had a gas pump
Oh yeah. Yeah.
years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And those are still possible with above ground
Right.
tanks, things.
Right.
We just didn't have the footprint to put it
Uh-huh.
necessarily. Um,
And Lindstrand's always had a gas pump because I tied my horse to it.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. And it, doesn't have to be a huge tank.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the co-op idea is a
enough for a
really
mower.
interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
Um, working at the co-op too. I understand,
Oh, right. Right.
as the finance person there. Um, that would be a really interesting idea of how to accomplish maybe more and get community investment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it could very well be that small country store that has
Yeah.
a little bit of everything,
Right.
and you could easily make sure it had some of those grab and go items,
Hmm.
for those bike riders
Yeah.
and things like that. It'd be super easy
Right.
to get that small,
Bike parts, tools, because we
deli.
don't really have a repair shop for bikes
Yeah,
Hmm.
this
it could
time.
even be
Yeah, you could
something
have
like
that
that.
little bit of a recreation section.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Pop-up bike repair on Saturdays and Sundays could
Right.
get people in
Yeah,
there.
I was thinking, like kind of that idea of kind of a community investment opportunity where, maybe you're looking for, 50,000 to, to get started seed money or something. And it's, maybe you buy in, you sell shares. I guess that would be kind of like the
Yep,
co-op
the co-op.
structure, where you sell different levels of shares and then your payback over time is the discount. Is that how it would normally work? And then you guys would do like a
Yep, no,
dividend,
like
right?
if you're a investor in the co-op, you get a dividend
Mm-hmm.
each year. You get a dividend, and so they're investing in they have certain wants.
Right.
They invest in that co-op to get good natural organic food
Mm-hmm.
into our community, and
Right.
service the local farmers and
Mm-hmm.
dairy and things like that.
Right.
So those people that invest in that, they have that buy-in
Mm-hmm.
that that's what their goal is. And you don't have to necessarily have a co-op that's all natural
Right.
or
Right.
all organic,
Yeah.
but definitely something that's in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Without a doubt, I think that, with the right format, people would probably buy
Mm-hmm.
into that.
Yeah.
And you have different levels. Like at the
Right.
co-op, the way that they set it up is you've bought your membership, which doesn't really give you much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there's another level where you contribute. It was $300, and that was your bridge to you didn't earn dividends on that, but that took you into that level of share purchases that gave you a dividend.
There's three
Okay.
classes of shares, I think, or
Hmm.
two or
There
three.
is, yeah, yeah, and so it's a way to do it like that. So
Mm-hmm.
you could either just be a member, you get the discount once a month, whatever it might
Right.
be, and then there's an investment in what's in your community
Right.
and what you want to sustain and see grow and benefit from the growth of it with
Mm-hmm.
that dividend.
And then you have a board who helps to kind of
Hmm.
direct that to make sure that that kind of framework and mindset is being carried forward through
Correct.
the business model.
Yep. You have a board of directors that's basically your membership.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be a member to be on it. You're voted in by the community of your
Mm-hmm.
members. Yeah, things like that.
Do you know of any small groceries that do this? Like, or are these
Oh,
mostly
well,
larger?
they're all over the nation.
Uh-huh.
So there's large ones and then there's small ones. I'm
Okay.
sure, I don't know about how small,
Yeah.
um, but the floor plan of it
Mm-hmm.
would be the same. It could
Okay.
easily be the same. You just set your parameters of,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we need 100 people to start so that we have a pool of people to make a board.
Right.
How do you start like that?
Right.
And then because the co-op belongs to that um, NCG, what's it called?
Northcote Natural, yeah,
Yeah,
NCG
it's
or something.
got an acronym
No,
to it.
Natural
Yes,
Grocers, whatever.
right. So they're
Yeah.
part of that organization,
Okay.
and that organization is big. So that gives you access to bigger pool of resources and buying power and
Mm-hmm.
your different insurances, merchant services, all that kind of stuff can come through. You have options through that,
Okay.
and so being part of that is also a good thing,
Mm-hmm.
and is not a bad thing. I shouldn't say it's a good thing. It has its ups and downs being connected,
Mm-hmm.
but you're also years ago when the co-op was into a little bit of a financial, basically we had the support of
Mm-hmm.
that organization to help us get through that and then move on.
Okay.
And so it helped with some of that. They were
Right.
going to help with design and expanding one of the stores and everything like that.
Great.
So they have lots of resources when you're with stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, but it's not a bad model
Mm-hmm.
for sure. And maybe if people know that the investment coming back could be beneficial.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, thinking about investing in your community to to be able to bring that type of service back, I think is something that's really palatable for people. It's that's a pretty feel good scenario to be part of something like that. I feel like it could be structured like that for, and maybe it's just to raise the first part of the investment capital that then gets paid back to a certain point, or like say, it's the discounts over a period of time, but yeah, I think it's something that could really be supported by the community as well.
And in the olden days of the co-op,
Hmm.
they, as a member, you worked.
Right,
You
right.
work
Hmm.
to, I don't think I remember like what the benefit was, or you're
Hmm.
just required to put in a certain amount of time each month.
Right.
And they'll talk, some of those older folks will tell you about slicing the big wheels of cheese and what that looked like. And in
Uh-huh.
today's health department
Right.
world, I don't know how much that would fly,
Right.
um I think that with easy serve safe
Hmm.
requirements and things, people could still handle,
Right.
and maybe they get something out of it for volunteering their time.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, that's a
there's a few
interesting
more
idea too.
options for sure, and ideas for that. Yeah,
Great.
I think it would be interesting to see how it would fly,
Hmm.
and definitely in need of some grocery here.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a gap. Like I said, it's not that there hasn't been an interest in it. It's just, we just haven't had a space. And that's
Mhm.
I mean, we're kind of hamstrung on that all over for development. It's just the lack of,
Already.
spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just the ability to have a space that's actually ready for a business to move into as well. It's really lacking as well.
Would
So,
that change up your plans for the RV part where you were
no, not
talking
at
where that
all.
facility might have some grocery ability, things like that?
No, I think at that point, I think you have plenty of capacity for both. And I think they would both be structured a little bit differently.
Hmm.
Um, you
They would
know,
definitely look different.
yeah,
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 for sure.
yeah. Um, yeah, I was thinking with AEDCs with the CDFI money, he's got kind of, they've got some COVID money that came through to make loans. And so there might be something there. And I was also thinking about a structure possibly with USDA. They've helped us in the past, through RBDG and different RDBEG. Um, and
Humboldt Area Foundation could be another.
yeah,
They have some. There's their grant landing page has all kinds of different stuff. I don't
right.
know if it's specifically geared towards this or not.
Yeah.
There's
And I
different
mean, there might
things
be
from
some
time to
money
time.
through EDA as well. I mean, some of this could be kind of pulled together. I mean, I see it as it's not a city project, but it's such a important community investment that has so many repercussions for positive impact. So the city really does need to be a partner in this, and if there's opportunities and resources that
Well,
we
if we're
can
going
bring
to
to
have
the
this
table.
housing over
Yeah.
here, then there's going to be people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and with the trail going right by it, so many people are coming out. I mean, Darcy
And
sees that, just with the amount of people that are circulating on the trail, and that exposure
the
to the
resiliency
town.
centers going in next year, there's going to be more and more people around for
Hmm.
different things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, um, yeah, so I just wanted to give you guys an update. Like I said, it's kind of a fast moving item. I don't, we've been so close so many times, just on the cusp of something happening, and then, it doesn't. But I think there's a good opportunity here. And, we've pushed really hard with, local landlords. I mean, Kelly, you know that. Like, we're like, please don't rent to anyone that's not doing some form of sales or retail
Hmm.
or service or something. And so
Right.
that was great. As the Aura's stuff at Blue Heron has been wonderful. And
Yeah.
obviously Keiko, like we love having that option in the community. So it's really important. We have just so few businesses, in the downtown, especially that each little building that comes up, really trying to get it back to what it used to be with the downtown so that it becomes more self-supporting is really critical.
Well, and
Um,
through a local grocery like that in a small area like this too, you could start a buying club and
yeah,
things that are so valuable.
right.
Once a
Um,
month.
yeah, I
Or
started. Yeah,
something that
Some
I
Barbara
Barbara,
started
Russell
that.
is really into.
yeah, Barbara Russell has been trying to get a buying club going for
Yeah,
years,
and I
and she has
started
a whole
one.
structure for it too.
I started one the market just before COVID,
Hmm.
um, mostly to help get through the winter of
Yeah.
meeting my minimums through
Oh,
UMFI.
right, right.
And the new people, they're not quite sure what it is. And so I don't think but they're starting to realize why I put it in place at the
Yeah.
winter time.
Right, right.
So it could be a really valuable. That's how UNFI got started. They bought
Hmm.
Mountain People.
Huh.
Oh,
Mountain People
didn't know
they
that.
bought out that was a buying club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I mean
Interesting.
it's has some options and that's an
Uh-huh.
easy thing to do.
Right. So I was thinking with the commission, I don't know if you guys are interested, but as this starts to possibly take shape or there's, more interest in moving this forward, would you guys be interested in putting together an ad hoc that could be, help us work on this? I think Kelly, especially you with your background in the co-op and Philbrook Market and stuff, that would be invaluable to have you as a sounding board or
Sure.
um I don't know if anyone else is interested in being part of that conversation, but just having something that's a little more flexible than waiting to come back to a meeting or
I could do this as well. If it was something that REDEC would end up funding, I think I might end up having to
yeah,
recuse. So, but if there's other funding sources,
yeah,
that'd be
yeah. And if we got to that point, I mean, we would definitely
I
make
would
sure
be
that.
interested.
Okay,
I would.
Yeah, absolutely.
okay. Well, if you guys want to pick two, would be great.
Like
If we
right
have
now?
three, we have a quorum. Yeah,
Oh,
because we could start going into some
What
meetings and
does that
discussions.
consist of? Ad
So,
hoc.
more
so that
meetings.
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
We could meet at the doghouse and I could do
I
it.
think
There
it
you
should
go.
get farther along before. I mean, the SBDC is going to be a good source because you're going to need a business plan and a projection,
Mhm.
an idea of what you're doing, and a map to get there
And we might
before
need that
like
very
more heads are
quickly.
going to be helpful.
Yeah.
Is that what you're hoping the ad hoc will do?
No, I'm hoping that ad hoc will be a resource for
Mhm.
ideas and like I said, especially Kelly. I'd really like Kelly to be
She's
a
a,
resource on this.
She
Um,
could be just the only ad hoc person with all of her experience.
I don't know about that.
yeah, the ad hoc just allows us to, like, if we have a meeting with the person who's interested, you can attend. You don't have
uh,
a quorum at that point, so you can talk
I'm
freely.
happy
You
to
can't
join
do
sitting
anything.
on
You
these
can't take
meetings
action
Yeah.
on
to help
behalf
with
of
it,
No.
but I
the
feel like
commission,
your
but
expertise is
it
more
gives
in
No.
you the
the
ability to,
operations
meet
and
and
some of
talk
the
and formulate ideas and things. So help us kind of down a path.
so
Okay. Sounds like us. Yeah.
So
so
Kelly and
do we need a motion or are we
yeah,
just
you
kind
would
of
need a motion to form that ad hoc.
so there's a motion for an ad hoc committee of Kelly and Roxanne to help with this Blue Lake grocery mercantile development. All in favor?
Right.
I.
You need a second?
Oh yeah.
So who was
Cindy's
first?
gonna second.
So was that Roxanne made the
Yeah, I
motion?
made the motion, so we'll need a second.
Oh, I can
guess it'll
second
be
that.
me.
Cindy?
So it's unanimous. And Darcy, I guess, was second first.
Oh, see. Great. Well, thank you. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know if you guys have any more questions or thoughts or like I said, it's something that just came on my radar. Um,
Yeah. Do they know who the SBDC advisor is going to be yet?
right now I'm talking with Will.
Okay.
So
He's the director, though.
yeah,
Is he going to take this on,
I'm
or
not sure.
'cause they have other
Yeah,
advisors that?
so I've been talking with Debbie and Will
Okay.
and
yeah.
um they're yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Is the building still owned by anybody who lives in Blue Lake?
No.
That's
No.
a good question. Um. Okay. Are any more? Does the public have any comments on item 5, Blue Lake Grocery Mercantile Store Development? Marnie?
I'm just thinking that it's kind of similar to the gas station at the Rancheria. And it'd be interesting to see what kinds of things, I've never really looked around, but they seem to have a little bit of a lot of things. I don't know whether they have hardware-ish things or sports kinds of things, but, it is a business that would be like within a half mile of them. So whatever they're not carrying, maybe that we want to carry more of that. You might get some pointers from that on what sells, what doesn't, some problems.
They sell a lot of booze and gas and
Candy.
they have a lot of candy and a lot of snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Ice.
chips you've
They have
never heard
ice.
of. Ice, drinks, tons of drinks.
Coffee and bakery goods.
Yeah, they have a little case of donuts and a little rolling hot dog machine and um, huge back wall of drinks. And then they have
Slot machine.
slot machines.
Right. Okay, that's just my thought, because it would.
It
I don't remember
duplicates.
that they have any sporting stuff. Like, I don't think they have pool noodles or stuff to take to the river. They may have some suntan lotion, but I don't even know if they have that.
Is it about that same size that you're thinking of for this little?
I'm not sure right now. Yeah, it hasn't all been kind of hashed out yet.
And they used to have a restaurant in that gas station, and it was like a diner.
Oh
They
wow.
had the red and chrome seats, and
those.
they did breakfast, biscuits, gravy, all this.
Huh.
Yeah. They might have even been a little deli
Yeah,
after that.
breakfast. Breakfast.
Breakfast.
Yes, breakfast.
Breakfast.
Yeah.
Blue Lake needs breakfast.
I mean, sometimes Murphy's is just too far for
I-
those breakfast sandwiches. But if it was closer,
Monday coffee.
Mm-hmm. And Sunday.
there's coffee club still.
Coffee club.
Oh yeah, we have coffee club on.
Happening.
Oh, it is is it
Yeah.
every Monday?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Just the afternoon gap. When you need that 3 o'clock.
Are there any more comments on the mercantile? Moving on to item 6, Powers Creek District Development Update. There
so-
are 5 sub-items here.
Yeah, and I can kind of tie them together, but I wanted to just kind of keep this on EDC's agenda as the projects are all progressing. Each time things are moving forward and there's a little bit more to. Sometimes there's some things to report on, and other times we're just not quite far enough into the project to have something real substantive to provide. RV park and campground. So I did take the development uh, proposal to the council at their last meeting, and they did authorize me to put that out onto the market to see if there's any interest in that concept. I anticipate doing that in the next couple of months, just kind of looking at the seasonality of putting that information out and kind of working with Storyland a bit on, kind of putting it together and finding the right um, uh, development formats and forums to be able to disseminate that information. So the idea and intent of that is to see if the project gains interest. If it gains interest and we think we're on the right track, the council could decide to look at a more formal process for releasing it out to look at potential developer investment proposals. If we don't get any interest, we might need to retool our thought process. If we get some feedback that helps us to kind of transition that proposal into a different format or modify it in any way, that'll give us good feedback as well. So we're not right now seeking necessarily a developer for the project, but we're seeking input and into the overall concept of whether it has some value on the open market. So, at the point in time where there was someone who was interested in developing, that's a whole different process. And the end result of a project would be negotiated with the council. There's a ton of layers associated with that when you look at contractual negotiations, land leases, development stages, different types of structures for investment money and returns, and there's just a lot of layers associated. So right now, our goal is to get it out there, see if we're on the right track, and could then let that kind of project kind of guide us through our next steps. So we are working with Storyland right now to utilize the remaining funds from our EDA grant. We have about $60,000, and I think I reported on this last time. And we just received our project amendment extending our project out to June 2024 to be able to use those funds. And so the idea is we'll be using a portion of the funding to do the master plan of kind of the remaining parcels on the north side of Taylor Way, and then to also do the parcel subdivision work. So surveying the parcels, because right now we have some large parcels that need to be subdivided so that they're in more manageable and developable parcels, shapes and sizes, and then kind of master planning all of that. So we're looking at ingress, egress, and pedestrian crossings and pathways and emergency vehicle response and all of those things that go into kind of the development of a larger scale master plan. So that work is all proceeding. The Bottawat Community Project is moving through the CEQA process. We've been working with Danco Communities to look at parking, circulation, um, working through some of the comments from the fire department. We're working with Dan Burden, who is the kind of community walk guru guy. We got some funding to utilize his services through HCOG to make sure that we look at Taylor Way in a way that takes into account the different types of uses and the developments. And there are some anomalies that we're kind of working through. The street ends down at, well, it goes all the way around onto Rancheria Road or the Old County Road, but it goes through Pepe's property. And so looking at, how people come into the new development and then exit and turn back around. The nice thing is we have a really big, wide footprint to work with and lots of property to work with, but we really want it to also be a gateway and to really shine as its own development. So it'll have landscaping and signage and lighting and sidewalks and all those things that you need for that type of installation. So those we're working through all of that. In fact, I was just on a call with Dan Burden and our engineers looking at different turn radiuses and parking styles and all of that. So that's a fun project. I'm learning lots of things about traffic engineering, that there's a lot that goes on when you look at all of it and why things are placed in certain ways. And sometimes when we go like, oh, why did they do this? This is ridiculous. And then you're like, oh, that's why. Like, it actually made me do something that I wouldn't have done unless, that installation was there, even though I didn't really want to do it. So learning a lot about that, and that's really coming together nicely. That's kind of plays into the Taylor Way master plan and road improvements. The Powers Creek Restoration Project, that project is also moving forward. We did some fairly large areas of vegetation removal along the creek so that we could get the engineers in to be able to shoot the grade. They're finalizing the design right now for that. So if you're down there, you'll see some areas that all the vegetation has been pulled back and the creek is opened up. So the creek is very vegetated. You really can't see up or down the creek once you get into it. So we needed to be able to open up some space so that they could actually, do their surveying and be able to tie that back into their engineer drawings. So that's taking place right now, and the CEQA work is being done. I think they are looking at a possible exemption on that project. There's a potential exemption for creek restoration projects. So we're working with the different agencies on that project, and we're working with the Bottawat Watershed Council, who is the project manager, and the city is a partner on that project. And that's going to be another really nice project down there to really enhance the creek and just the overall experience. That's about all I have on those. I don't know if you guys have any questions. I kind of tied them all together because they're starting to actually really come together almost as one project, which is kind of exciting too.
Wait, can you remind me what CEQA is?
So that's the California Environmental Quality Act. So that's the all the environmental studies under CEQA. There's a ton of different layers associated with
Bet.
CEQA and special studies that have to be done. So
If you
it's
have federal money, then you have to do
you do,
the
yeah,
federal version of CEQA.
yeah, which is the NEPA. We're under state, so we do CEQA. It's
Both
the
of them are not
expensive
easy.
Oh,
side.
CEQA with a C.
Yeah,
I get it.
CEQA.
Okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
yeah.
Are there any questions from the public or comments?
Hello,
Hello.
Lisa Caponi. I have a request. I've noticed that a lot of the agendas from month to month look very similar, and in some months there's a big report on one of these items, and in other months maybe there's little tiny updates. And so my request is that so that the public can be a little more aware of what meetings they want to attend, um, that presentations be broken out um, of the agendas and kind of identified so that if somebody really wants to be present and comment on a particular topic, that they're here or there's a big presentation happening. Like I watched your August meeting recently and saw the presentation on the RV park, and that was quite detailed. And when I look at an agenda that looks the same each month, I wouldn't expect that there's going to be a big presentation on any one item if it appears on your agenda each month. So that's just a request to help the public be more engaged and target certain meetings they might want to attend. And then the other thing I just wanted to talk about just this for a minute is the idea of master planning the Powers Creek area. I've been approached by somebody who has an idea about remaster planning the whole thing to include the power plant property. And to look at the layout of Taylor Way. Presently, we have the north side of Taylor Way and we have the south side of Taylor Way, and it's possible that if the city were to look at this entire area as one whole, that a different master plan could emerge that would involve um, some ideas we haven't really looked at yet. So, being that the power plant is going to become something else in the near future, um, it might be a really wise idea to spend a little time looking at that area as a whole instead of a north and a south divided by a road, because that road doesn't always have to be there. That road can move. We talk about our turning problem at the end of Taylor Way. Given it's unlikely that we're going to be able to go through in the future, like we all kind of wish maybe we could, but given the property issues and whatnot beyond Taylor Way, that's not likely. So there's a lot of different possibilities for Taylor Way, a lot of different possibilities for the industrial park. And I think it's great that we're looking at rearranging parcels to accommodate the projects that we currently have, on the drawing board. But there's a much bigger sphere here that could be influenced. And so I would hate for for the city to just be committed, in certain ways that eliminate a whole nother world of possibilities. So I'm just throwing it out there that we might be able to broaden our view just a little bit and include the whole area instead of the part that we know we can work with this year.
Hmm.
Think about the parts we get to work with a year from now or 2 years from now.
Since it's use it or lose it money.
It's
Um,
not a bad idea. It could boil down to cost.
Or the
Well, it could
I
boil
don't know if
down
there's
to
grant
so many
restrictions or
things,
yeah,
but
but it's a bigger perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's not my idea. It's coming from somebody who's far wiser and better educated than I am, and I'm just bringing it to you because it was brought to me, and I thought, hey, I believe in possibilities. I believe in imagination. I believe in being careful that about what you commit to, because everything you commit to eliminates something else, right? So each time you make a commitment, you narrow your options. And we all need to make commitments so that we can move forward. But at the same time, I think it's really wise to try to keep the broadest view you can until you need to make those choices. So, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more public comments? Okay. So that brings us, I believe, to item 7, the Chamber of Commerce report.
I'll go through that. We met last night here at 1:30. Yeah. Sure.
Podium.
So, is it on? Perfect. We met last night. We talked about looking at refreshing our website a bit with some new pictures from events this year. We talked about starting up our business spotlight again. It's been a while since we've done that, so we'd like to feature our first new business in November. So we'll talk a little bit at our next meeting about who that'll be. We had our September mixer at Camp Bauer. We had about 60 to 70 people, I'd say, there, and a lot of new faces and a lot of Blue Lakers. So it was a great mix of different people. We spoke about member renewals last night for next year. I suggested we make it more of a nice invitation and create some infographics for the businesses and the members showing what types of services we could offer, and then also perhaps a survey in there to deliver so we can see what the community wants to see as well. I suggested last night the chamber needs to find more than just Annie and Mary Day to do throughout the year. So kind of one community event or fundraiser ideally per season, I think is a good starting goal, whether it's a bingo or sponsoring a community movie night, um, helping out with, let's say, Jules doing a tap night, kind of helping promote that with your gin or whatever new products are launching at the brewery. So we're going to talk more when Marvin and a few other members are back next month to see what they think about that. But I think ideally in a few years, our goal would be kind of to replicate the Arcata Chamber and how they have Oktoberfest and this and that and a whole business coupon book they put out every year. It'd be really cool to start following in those footsteps for Blue Lake. We suggested perhaps doing pastels around town square next year in the springtime when construction's starting to happen, similar to pastels in the park, and it could be a good way for us to fundraise, but also businesses or different groups or clubs to promote themselves. We're going to partner with Justin on a community calendar that everybody could submit their events to, and he's been super helpful in looking at getting our meetings filmed as well, so more people can access them. And lastly, we talked about maybe getting a banner in town, even with the basic info of, second Monday every month, 5:30, come here, because I just think more people would bring more energy. That's kind of what I got for the chamber. It's a big meeting.
Those are good ideas.
Yeah, it's
You
cool.
guys are doing a lot.
Yeah,
You're
we're
really
exciting
moving forward,
direction.
Emily.
I still keep
And
imagining a little train, a
yeah,
little caboose that houses chamber. So neat.
Could be right on the museum strip.
Yep.
oh yeah, I could stay up too, but that's all I have for that item.
Thank you, Emily.
Yeah.
Are there any public or commissioner comments? Public commissioners? Thank you. That mixer was really fun.
Cool.
That's
was
like
really
my
fun.
favorite mixer of all the different
Mhm.
chamber mixers. It's outside, it's a cool crowd.
I'm excited to
Great
do that.
location.
We're looking forward to doing it again next
Mhm.
year. Um,
That was a really good spot.
yeah. I have the Parks and Rec update too.
All right, so moving on to item 8A, Parks and Rec.
We've had a lot of events the last few weeks. We started with Hoptoberfest and then had a really great Medieval Fest this last weekend. We made about 5,000 give or take at the Medieval Fest, Parks and Rec fundraisers, so that's really good for
great.
us. We have our BYOC Bring Your Own Chair Festival this weekend. It's a family-friendly event, 12 to 5 p.m. in the park. We're hoping that rain or shine, it will go on. The backup plan is to move into Prosh Hall if things are too cold. But it'll be music. We have 3 bands playing and
Three really good bands.
3 really good
Mhm.
brands, California Poppies, Papa Howley, and one more.
Cadillac Ranch.
Cadillac Ranch.
Mhm.
And we'll have a few different adult beverages there and some all family food and all ages drinks too. We're going to look at holiday programming after this weekend passes because it's kind of a nice breather before October Halloween stuff starts up again. We're going to partner with the school to do a haunted skate and some type of trick or treat walk like we normally did in years past. We're going to postpone the dance to be more New Year's Eve type
Okay.
because McKinleyville's doing theirs the night before. We're going to
Probably not.
have ours. But we're hoping that PTO will want to do that New Year's Eve one instead around December time. Humboldt Archers Club has approached us interested in doing some archery stuff in Blue Lake at the horse arena. Pickleball's expanded their hours into Tuesdays, and a few other days, kind of a drop in when we're not using the rink, which has been really great.
Humboldt archers aren't horseback archers, are
No.
they? Are they? Do they
Uh,
go out to Doug's place in Fieldbrook?
They might.
Huh.
Yeah,
That'd
I'm
be
not sure. I
cool
think
to
they had kind of
collaborate.
taken a hiatus during COVID and they're just trying to get their program going again. Because
There's
I thought
a
it,
lot of people interested in archery. I get
yeah,
asked
Yeah.
a couple times a day about how
right.
can I do it? How can I get my kid involved?
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
me
And I think
posted
the
on that.
horse arena is a good location, because we have that backdrop against the creek that, and we've obviously can pull it off. We did it, we
Mhm.
did it for Medieval Festival. There's arrows flying everywhere. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, considering my husband's on the board of that and no one knows anything.
Oh,
Oh, Humboldt archers?
Yes.
well, they had just reached out to see about
Good.
space and see
Yeah.
who has space. So I think they're just doing some homework on
Yeah.
what could be
We
possible.
definitely have space available for sure.
Yeah.
Well, they
We-
lost their clubhouse a
Oh.
few
Where
years
was it?
ago. It was above England Marine in Eureka.
Oh, yeah, I've been
Um,
there.
The city,
Yeah.
there was a policy made in Eureka that anything on the bay has to be marine, like a business marine
Oh my.
of some thing. So they lost their lease there, and so they've been. Everything's at my house. How's that?
Oh.
I have a whale in my
The clubhouse.
yeah, and so they've been. My husband has put on the ones out at Dugway's
Yeah.
for a couple of
Yeah.
years. We didn't this summer, but yeah,
It'd be fun to collaborate on some
Mhm.
stuff with the
they
Blue
would.
Lake archers,
The
Blue Lake
the
Saddle
club
Club.
itself has really kind of just fallen apart, and like people have moved away. But um, I think with the right people, it could maybe kind of get restructured, a place
There's a lot of
to
energy
practice.
interested.
There's a lot of
There's also
archers in that
the
area.
4-H club has had an archery component for a long time too.
Yeah, and Tim, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
Tim,
Tim taught it.
yeah, he did that, and he tried to get something started with the Humboldt Archers. There was a couple of members that were like really concerned about insurance and
Mm.
kids and stuff like that. But they used to, the Humboldt Archers were always, they did a kid thing and
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. So with a handful of people and some dedication, a little bit,
Yeah.
it probably could get going.
Yeah. Fantastic
That'd be
thing.
really cool.
Yeah, it just diversifies our offerings for Parks and Recreation. So,
Um, I was approached too by the blacksmith at the Medieval Festival and we chatted. He does a lot of metal work, but his wife does tie-dye workshops, leather. And so I thought it could be cool to maybe partner with Mad River Brewery or the Grange and do some trades stuff for all ages. We'll see how that goes. That was very recent.
I wanted to bring up on that. We have talked to the museum about having a
Oh, museum would be good.
That's a great
Yeah.
something like having blacksmith or some kind of event
Interactive.
there,
Historical too.
historical
Yeah, that would
thing,
That would be perfect.
and this could be an opportunity.
Hmm.
Bettina, Piper and I were talking about the horse story tour. That might be a good first event for them to do short workshops for kids, in addition to the stories. And they could be down near the museum, which could be really cool.
And I wanted to mention that we usually have our horse story tour the Sunday before Christmas. So if you're planning any Christmas stuff, plug that in with the permission of the museum, of course, to use the grassy
I love
lane
that.
again. Oh, pretty please.
Perfect.
I know Sarah Feinstone was also interested, Emily, in doing some uh, woodworking classes with kids and also maybe like a women in tools class, which I think would be really cool too, but could be right in that kind of,
Yeah,
spectrum of like, kids could be building birdhouses or planter boxes or but learning basic uses of tools and measuring and different things, which would be really fun.
that would be great. It kind of
bet.
ties in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I think, and she was saying she kind of
Mine's
wanted to get back into teaching somehow and something in the community. So,
Awesome.
This would be all really great. My coordinator and I attended a grant writing training for state parks round 2 funding. So we're looking at different ways we can bond education, recreation, and kind of community involvement. And there's a big youth component and an adaptive component, and talking about local resources here. So I think all these things could be really cool. And lastly, we're renting out to North Coast Prep, our tennis courts and our basketball courts in there about 4 days a week now. So it's cool to see things happening every day. And that's all I got.
need the commercial kitchen.
Oh, and the commercial kitchen is finished.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have completed the commercial kitchen, and the music sound panels have all been put up, the string lights. So things are really coming together.
We have disco balls.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
we're looking
It's
forward.
all really nice.
What's going to happen in this kitchen?
That's goal would be renting it and helping facilitate more small businesses.
There's probably a wait list down
There
for
is a huge
food work
rush.
stuff.
There's
Yeah.
it's also an opportunity now for people to have an event, and if they need a commercial, if they're going to hire someone to cook, they could cook right there, and
Yeah.
the kitchen's all legal. So, a wedding, a reception, anything. Now, some cook can come there and
Make their own cake. Yeah.
yeah,
It expands
Have
their
their cake eat it
opportunities
too?
vastly.
absolutely.
Yeah, when we originally started working on the commercial kitchen a number of years ago, we did a lot of research on the needs of the community, the business community, locally, Blue Lake and Glendale. And I think we had 13 people that responded that they would rent the kitchen if it was available at the time. We haven't done a survey recently, but I know that that need is still there. And then we do have the wait list from FoodWorks, and I know there's a wait list at Redwood Acres as well. So I don't think there'll be any problem. We've really been trying to look at diversifying our park facilities so that they're being used all the time and not just, crash halls shut down Monday through Thursday. It's open Friday night for skating and then it's shut down again. So looking at these facilities that have all this potential, but they really need the programming and they needed the upgrades to be able to facilitate those other uses. So for us being able to rent the kitchen during the week when no one else is using it, it's another source of revenue for Parks and Recreation. It also is an opportunity to build small business capacity. And then we're moving our concession. So we'll move our concession from where it is now over into the kitchen, which will allow us to offer kind of a higher end level concession. And it may be at some point, it may be a small business, maybe that someone even wants to take over our concession and just pay us rent and, manage it themselves and have kind of a higher level concession there. Or we could do specialty nights or we can partner with people. We do have some interest already from existing businesses who'd like to do like pop-up restaurant nights and different things. So it really has like endless possibilities at this point with all the improvements that have been made. I mean, it's just the space is incredible. The soundboarding, I wasn't 100% like, kind of sold on the idea of these boards that would go up and they were going to like fix all of our sound issues because it's basically a giant barn. And, you hit the floor and it just echoed everywhere. You couldn't talk to anyone and really hear each other. It's amazing. Like there is no echo at all anymore. I mean, I was on the skate floor the other night with some of the staff taking some pictures and checking out how things were going. And we were having a conversation while there was a DJ playing. And usually when the DJ's there, you can't hear anything. It's just like, you know, and we're just having a conversation and the staff member goes, Mandy, it's so weird, we're talking to each other. And I was like, I'm like, well, that's not weird, like, like we talk, I don't know. He's like, no, we're talking normal and hearing each other. There's no echo, there's no. So the improvement from it was, I mean, it's just night and day. So being able to have
It worked.
music concerts, I mean,
That would be a
that
lot.
could become the Humboldt music venue. It's got a stage, it's got a commercial kitchen attached, it's
A
got
barn dance
space.
in there. Get that
Yeah,
back.
we've talked
Mm.
about having the barn dance be kind of our grand opening event. So that's definitely on the radar. But, this really allows us to diversify what we can offer through that facility. And I think Humboldt County is really missing a good music venue. We used to have a lot of bands that came through. You'd pick them up on like a Wednesday night as they're traveling up to Portland and things or traveling back through. But you don't see it as much anymore. And I don't know if some of those venues just, I think COVID was a big part of that, but kind of relaunching ourselves as kind of a premier music location for, Humboldt County is a great opportunity.
Mhm.
And that can drive a pretty high price point as well, too. So,
And it's indoors.
and
We could
it's,
do it during the
yep,
wet year round.
absolutely. Yeah.
A lot of exciting stuff going on.
Yeah, they're going to be opening a skate shop and the novelty store. So we'll have, sweatshirts and t-shirts and roller skates and stickers and, all those upsale items, along with an expanded concession. And so we've got more video games now than we've ever had. And yeah, so more rental capacity. I mean, these guys are renting this place out. Like, I mean, it's
Birthday
booked out
parties are
all the time. But yeah, it's been great.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Are there
welcome.
any comments from the public? Any more comments on the Parks and Rec and City Staff report? That brings us towards the end here. Are there any other announcements? We have the story tour the last Sunday before. Oh, the what?
For
the town square. Oh, the town square update.
Yeah, so I can give
Maybe.
you an update on that really quick. So the Town Square project went out to bid, and we selected Sequoia Construction to do the project. Um, we have awarded the bid and the contract, and we'll go to construction in the spring. There's quite a bit of concrete work, and with the weather volatility at this point in the season, it's not the optimum time to try and do concrete. So it allows us some time to be able to work through the next few months to look at some additional funding opportunities. We did remove the bathroom installation because the bathroom came in extremely expensive, much higher than when we originally wrote the grant. So our plan is to plumb for the bathroom, to set the foundation, but to look for other options, either a cheaper bathroom or a cheaper bathroom and some additional funding. And we've already talked to USDA. There's through their community facilities, I think it's community facilities program, you can do bathrooms for town squares and areas in the city that helps to promote farmers markets and artisan markets because you can't technically have a farmers market without a bathroom. So they're able to fund that, and it's about $50,000 in funding that they can apply to a project. So we'll be applying for that funding as well. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great project. It's, it'll have the kids splash pad. It'll have like an arbor that will be a trellis arbor going along 3/4 of the south side of the project, which will help to kind of screen the neighboring property, but also allow for the front part where the concrete pad is. In the event that that property owner would be interested in doing like a food truck right there. So the project was always designed with the idea that there would be a food truck in that area so people could get their food and then take it onto the square to have lunch or, dinner.
Do you have
It's,
power or water for
yeah,
the
so
food
we
truck?
have,
Okay, so there's
yeah.
generator noise there.
So we have power will be installed. There's a location for the Christmas tree to be mounted. There's water and wastewater. There's solar, kind of the historical lights, kind of pedestrian scale lighting that will be installed. Um, the creek, the area off the creek, 25 feet in from the creek, will still be grass because eventually we're going to have to lay back that concrete and restore that area because those two cement walls are failing. But it's a nice opportunity to be able to do a restoration project and maybe mirror what is upstream yeah, upstream of the town square by the post office, where that's, just kind of laid back nicely. It doesn't have concrete walls holding it together, and it's a more interactive space. So that project was all designed to encompass that because we knew that would be a future project that we'd have to work on. And yeah, and then it'll have, some additional landscaping, and we have a lot of benches already that will be able to be repurposed. But it's a pretty small piece of property, and the goal has always been to kind of keep it open so that it can be multitasked. We didn't want to we didn't want a gazebo and things that take up a huge footprint
Mhm.
because you can't really use the space to its maximum, potential. So it allows for all the things to happen, but it also allows for a lot of, dual functionality as well. So.
Did you say it would have a stage or something like that?
It doesn't have a stage, but we have electrical so that in the event, that we had, a portable stage could be put up and then the bands or whatever could be able to plug into the electrical.
I
Could
know
be a
that
good croquet course.
Yeah, there you go.
I know that the two businesses were focused on what other events might be
Absolutely.
happening,
Yeah.
just to bring focus down to that area.
Yeah.
They see a lot of it going to the park. And I
hmm
think that's a little bit concerning as
Yeah,
far as that.
it's and when the town square's been talked about. In fact, I should have copied it for you guys. I'll get a copy and get it out to you. But I found the 1997 visioning project that the city went through. I think it was funded by the Forest Service, and it was a pretty in-depth study, and a lot of community members participated in it. But it was really at a time when the timber industry had gone down, and the other industries really just hadn't done what we thought they were going to do to replace that economy. And so there was a lot of struggle on, like, we were losing residents, we were losing businesses, and it was like, what is Blue Lake going to do to sustain itself? And in 1997, they recognized that recreation was a huge opportunity for our community. So in 1997, they identified a town square as being a need for the downtown. They identified an RV parking campground as an investment opportunity that had a lot of development value to the community. They identified the trail that came, recreation trails and, upgrades to the park facilities. So it was really interesting because, these are a lot of the ideas that are coming to fruition now have been being worked on for, 30 some years. These aren't just ideas that we're grabbing out of the sky. These are, there was a foundation laid, and there's, sometimes it takes a long time for a project to come kind of full circle. Um, and the idea of a town square, is really critical to downtown vitality. And we had participated in some trainings and study sessions with a group, and I think you guys were part of it. I can't remember what it's now called, but they talked about a town square is one of the biggest investments that you can make into a downtown because it diversifies all these opportunities to bring different events that don't require, so much hardscape or buildings or, all these pop-up events that bring people to your businesses. And so it just really kind of solidified that thought process of getting us to the point of having that town square. The problem right now is we don't really have everything in place to be able to do what we want to do, but next year we will. And there's a lot of programming and a lot of ideas and things that can take place there that really will help the downtown. But we also need to prep the downtown to be ready for it as well. That's been kind of one of our problems too, is we have, our downtown really isn't set up, all the way around the downtown to facilitate a lot of people. We're starting to see some investment. The Lager Bar was remodeled, and now, your guys' businesses look great, and there's been a lot of investment there, but we still have gaps that we're trying to
Sure.
fill. So it's coming, but it's still a work in progress.
I don't know if this is the appropriate time to bring this up, but we are the Economic Development Commission. And one of the things that I would encourage us to do is to start meeting with the
Hmm.
businesses. And whether that would be when we first started the commission, we actually went out and visited with businesses and received their input. Some were open, some were not. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just, but it was a good way to find out what their needs were. When I did work at the city of Eureka, we would monthly go out and visit with businesses, and we would take the city manager with us
Hmm.
and tell them what was going on in the city and ask how we could help them. That might be a little bit much here, but maybe we could start doing a little bit of a round table or something where we could bring those businesses in and get some input from them as to what their needs are. The other thing I want to suggest is that a few years ago we brought CalEd in, which was the
Hmm.
California
That was
Facility.
great.
Yeah, it was good.
And I'm thinking that what we might want to do is have them come up again. You have a lot of new folks
Hmm.
on your council
Right.
and new commissioners and things like that. And what would be really good, I think, is to have an outsider come in and kind of give an overview about doing economic development in the state of
Hmm.
California. And if that's something that you're interested in, I could reach out to Gerbax at CalEd.
Yeah, I think that would be great because that was really
It
valuable.
drew in a
Yeah,
lot of
it
different
did.
governments. So this
Hmm.
is probably a future agenda item for
Hmm.
business outreach and another
Hmm.
economic CalEd type event
Yeah.
for next month.
Okay,
I
I
think
can probably get a hold of somebody.
Yeah,
that
and we've been, the Chamber of Commerce has been doing a lot of, trying to pull in those business representatives to the chamber as well, because that was always a gap too, is,
mhm.
the chamber was ran by people who weren't part of the business
This is
community, but they were trying to keep it going. And then the business community was like, what does the chamber do? Like, what do they do? And so there was this real disconnect. But now with the chamber, you have a lot of businesses that are represented, which is really great. They're actually on the board. And so they're getting more involved and providing, that feedback and that link to the city as well. Because it's not necessarily the city's job. Well, it's not the city's job at all to, you know, to to make a business successful. Our job really is to provide the infrastructure that allows a business to be successful. Like we can't run someone's business or anything, but we can provide opportunities or bring things to the community that help. And then, the biggest part is that communication. And so that everyone knows what's going on so that they can plan for, how their business interacts with an event or, we're cross marketing and things. So we're trying to bridge that. But I think, especially for the commission to go and see how the businesses are doing and get some feedback would be really welcome.
Work with the chamber on that
Hmm.
because they are the business liaison
Right.
and getting them all in board, and get us all on somewhat the same page. We'll
Yeah.
never be on the same page. Maybe we can be close or something
We're
like
on the same book.
that. But anyway, that was just something I wanted to bring up because I've been thinking about it and I've had some input from folks and
Mhm.
I wanted to, it might be time for us to do some outreach
no,
again.
yeah,
Yep.
post COVID, see where we
Mhm.
are
Hmm.
and how we're moving forward into the
Yeah.
new
So
era.
I'll do my bit on that one.
Sounds good.
What was the group that you mentioned?
California is California Local Economic Development Corporation or Commission.
California.
Wait a minute, let's me
Local.
try again. I have to, I've done the acronym for so long. I'm going, what does it mean? California Association of Local Economic Development. Is that right?
I think so. That's yeah,
It's really
that's
close.
all of them.
Cal-Ed. Cal-Ed.
Yeah.
Was a member and a chairman on that for years. You think I could remember that?
Well, an acronym sticks. Are there any public comments at this time about this topic? Please.
It's almost somebody I can share with you guys. I don't know if you've seen the press release from Del Arte that they've actually laid off most of their people
Just today.
and they have a skeleton crew working reduced hours, and if they're not able to raise $125,000 by the end of the year, they're going to shut down. So, it's kind of surprise. I mean, we all know that they've been struggling a bit, right? But didn't know, how serious and that it's right now. So, I don't know if there's anything that, the city might be able to do to support their efforts. But it might be worth, you know, spending a little bit of time talking about that. If there's any support we can offer.
A future agenda item and maybe something for the arts and heritage, arts and
Arts and
culture.
Heritage maybe have a dance at the new
Like a fundraiser.
a fundraiser dance
Mm.
party at the
Mm-hmm.
Crash
Right,
Hall
right.
with the new kitchen.
Or
Have some
maybe, yeah.
gourmet cooks over there and some food tasting and a big couple of bands and
This is important, but this topic is off agenda, so it should
Right.
probably be
okay.
addressed at a future agenda meeting or possibly even a special meeting with the arts and
Heritage.
heritage meet.
Sure. Okay,
Or
I just wanted to bring it
but-
up because
Yeah, this is
time
important.
is short.
Time is short and it is significant. And thank you for bringing that to our
And
attention.
they need 50,000 by when?
125 by the end of the year.
125.
So
Or the
it's a lot.
it's a lot.
I wanted to speak about the food truck that you mentioned at the town square. Is that something that would be there every day or on special occasions or
No, we don't know yet. It's just an idea.
because I'm thinking, why bring in a external business when Darcy's at the park and Virgo Rising is a block away and the brewery often has food and as soon as the food truck comes, everybody runs to the food truck. Nobody gets much business. At least that's what I've experienced. So
I feel like it's the more the merrier. I don't feel like a food truck affects my business at all. And
really,
no. And I'm only open till 4 during the week, 6 on Friday, and usually a food truck would, and I'm not open on the weekends usually.
that's right. So,
So
then-
a food truck, and then people like to try new things.
yeah.
Food is fun,
And
you
it
know,
can
and
be
if
good.
it's just the same old people all the time, it's nice to try something new. And then it brings people to town and they may realize that I'm here and they may go have a beer at the lager or, somewhere. I think it helps all the other businesses.
And
Personally.
That was just my thought, my concern. Thanks.
it's similar to what was mentioned about the casino gas station convenience store versus a mercantile. So yeah, there's like the expansion and then there's balancing what you have and making sure that existing business needs are met and cross promoted to the extent possible. Thank you. Are there any more public comments or suggestions for future agenda items, announcements at this time? I think there's the Lager Block Party is on the 21st or so. I may be wrong about the date, but that is
Nope,
coming
that's
soon.
the date.
There's a Halloween Gambler's Choice at the arena on the
Oh, that's
30th.
right. This
Yeah.
is an equestrian event with
Uh-huh.
costumes. That
Uh-huh.
sounds like a big coat.
I think it's the same day as the town Halloween walk around.
Oh,
Because that
yeah,
used
I
to
know
be
that.
on a Friday, and I used to be able to be open to do it, but I'm going to put on the Halloween thing, and that's a Saturday, and it's the same Saturday as a Halloween school parade or town.
Okay.
It's on the 28th.
Is that the okay? Great. There'll be lots of stuff to spook horses.
Lots of
So it
We
looks
can
like
just have the kids
bingo,
walk through and scare the horses.
bingo slated for the same night as the Lager Bar block party,
Right? Do not know.
the
Bingo?
21st.
Is that the Hamtastic one or is it a different one?
I don't know.
I'd say bingo.
Mm-hmm. Is it the 21st? I think it might be the same. It'd be crazy.
First, there's also a band and well, one band at the Meadow Brewery and one band at Waterworth.
Oh,
Nice that you
Not
have all that
bingo?
on your calendar.
Yeah, amazing calendar that's got all the events on it.
that's so cool. How do I get one?
Who's in charge of
Go to his blog.
Yes.
I've
Well,
got to get
who's-
on there. Thank you. The reminder.
Right, right. Oh, the Grange itself.
Yeah.
Do you have the Grange's calendar?
Yeah.
On here as well.
So is bingo the same night as the block party? I was just curious about
I
that.
do not see the bingo on there.
Isn't it
Okay.
the third Saturday? Is that what it is?
I think
It
it
seems
usually
like it.
is.
Yeah. I don't know. Who's
Which
doing the next
is
one?
Unless it's not on their calendar. It's not
Uh-huh.
on their calendar yet, then I don't have it.
I think it's
Did
the
they have
really
one this
fun
weekend?
people
would be their third
Fantastic.
weekend.
Yes.
Or their third
Okay.
Saturday.
We're selling tickets for that, but I didn't see the date. So it
Okay.
probably, which will be great because they draw a different crowd too.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll just be more people and
Yeah.
It's what? Who's hosting it?
the Hamtastic Kinetic
Hamtastic, yeah.
group, Patty Johnson's group
They're
for
so
the
much
Kinetic Sculpture
fun.
race.
What's
Yeah,
here?
they did really good
I
drinks.
just found it on the Grange calendar.
It is there. Yeah, I think it's the same. Yeah.
The Grange?
My calendar's
No
like
lack of stuff to do.
Hmm?
Bingo at the Grange,
Oh,
21st,
it's
same night as the
good.
block party.
Well, that'll be
And
a
the
good
horse
segue.
thing.
Yeah.
And oh, but the costumes. Okay.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
There's a lot going on in Blue Lake.
Still,
Once again.
Good.
yeah,
At least that day.
continuing.
Yep,
We're
the
having
momentum
fun.
continues and
Thank you for the, I think it's a really great thing that the city does that for the bingo.
Oh,
That was a great
we-
good fundraiser for
it's-
the museum,
oh, good.
and I think other nonprofits should jump on the band.
Yeah, we've been trying to get them kind of scheduled in, and I think I
Yeah.
know the fire department wants to do one in the Little League, and it's kind of nice if you do it by groups because then they kind of hit their own group
their
of
members come
people, and
out
so
and
Yeah.
yeah,
you
you
can
get your own
mingle.
prizes and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a really easy fundraiser
It
and it's fun.
really,
So
it
and
really
it's fun for
was.
it's
It's
a fun
really
use of the
fun.
Grange, and yeah,
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 it was really easy.
yeah.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
Seems to have a better turnout in the non-summer months. It's really hard to get it
Oh.
down there at 6 o'clock on a Sunday.
Sure, I bet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, your winter months will go big.
Yeah, we took a hiatus,
Same
right?
with
Is that
Right, a
skating
little bit.
too, I think. It
Yeah.
really picks up in the winter.
Hmm.
And not that it's slacking, right?
We definitely take a hit in the summer, but it's all right because then we have all the other things going on. So staff is working festivals and birthday party. It doesn't slow down for birthday parties, so that's good. We still get lots of rentals.
I wanted to say something, and that is something that people may not think about, but the more exposure you have to people from outside the area by having all these different events, the more possibilities are that they'll want to invest here.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that we kind of forget about is that it's truly an economic development activity when you host all these different events.
Mhm.
And that's, so some people may say, well, why are we all doing all this stuff? And it's something good for the community, but it also gets investors to go, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
And it does take a lot of time.
It does take time.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Thank you.
Thanks, you
Are
guys.
there any, is at this point, I think we're about ready to entertain a motion to adjourn unless there's something else. Motion? Call for the question.
Oh, I can make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second to
Then
adjourn.
We are adjourned.
Nice. Thanks, you guys.
Time it is
5:55.